Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd make a start on our new series today, which is making a large bowl from this piece of eucalyptus. It's a fairly large piece, certainly the biggest piece that I've tried making a bowl out of to date. And you know, I've been warned about eucalyptus, as I said in my previous video. You know, it grows quite twisted. You know, it doesn't like being split, and it may well be that, you know, when I start carving into this, pieces are going to start coming off where I don't want them to, and it may end up being you know, a total waste of time. But I've got a lot of this eucalyptus sitting around and I really want to do something with it. So this is the piece I'm going to be using. It's a fairly large piece. On this side here you can see there was a limb growing out the side here. Hopefully that's not going to cause us too many problems. Normally I would put that towards the top and then carve down to try and remove it. Problem being is this is slightly sort of an elliptical shaped piece of wood, so this is the flattest piece here, so I want to use that as my base. This is going to be the top because it's fairly flat but a little bit sort of bumpy. But what I'll do is I'll carve down into here, and I'm just hoping that this doesn't go too far. And then what it will do is allow me to sort of cut down this way and kind of remove this and remove the risk of splitting. Hopefully, at least that's the plan. What I'll do, I'm just going to move the camera around a little bit. First thing I want to do is get rid of all of this bark, and for that I'm going to use my draw knife, so I'll move the camera around a little bit so you can see exactly what it is I'm doing. Right then guys, well the first things first is to get this bark off. There's several ways you can do it. You can use a knife, you can use an axe, so on and so forth. I tend to favour a draw knife, especially with a big piece like this. And all I'm going to do is just start stripping this off. I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a feel for what it is that I do and the way I prefer to do it. Obviously you're well within your rights to do whatever you like, whatever method you prefer. Now this is quite tough bark. You know, as you can see, you can sort of rip little bits of it off, but actually you kind of do need a tool at least to give you a bit of a sort of helping hand. It really is quite tough bark. So you know, you can take off smaller pieces like this, and that's probably my fault for trying to take off too much in one go, to be honest guys, but as I say, you can take as much or as little time as you like over this. I mean, what I tend to find is using things like an axe, you do tend to chew up the wood a little bit because it's very difficult to kind of control the axe not to bite into the wood underneath this bark. But I'm going to spend a little bit of time just removing all this bark. And the thing to say about draw knives as well is, as long as you use them correctly, they're actually a really safe bit of kit. You know, if you're using a knife, especially if you're cutting towards yourself, you know, it's slightly dangerous. And the thing with a draw knife like this, and this is just a bog standard one, as long as you keep your arms towards the sides of your body, you know, I can cut into this and you see it's jumped towards me there. Now as long as my arms are like this and not out here somewhere, I can't actually bring this any closer. Hopefully you can see that if I move down a bit. This is as close as I can get this draw knife. Now it's not touching me, the handles aren't touching me. Now obviously if I widen out my arms, I can then get closer. And actually, if you see the two handles here, they're actually jammed up against me. So because these handles are slightly narrower than the width of my body, even if I did go this far, it's going to jam up against me. So they're a pretty safe way of doing it. I usually find it's quite nice to have this sort of butted up against you just to give you a little bit of stability. But anyway, I'm going to carry on doing this guys, and I will come back once I've got the majority of this bark off. Right then guys, well that's all the bark off, at least except for a couple of little stubborn bits that will come off while we're carving anyway. And the last thing I want to do with this episode is just to flatten off what's going to become the base of this bowl. And now that the bark's off, hopefully you can see, turn this round a little bit, up here is quite lumpy, certainly in comparison to down here, which is much smoother. Now, because we're going to be carving all this away anyway to make the bowl, I'm going to take advantage of the natural sort of flatness of the bottom of this and use that as my base. Now, as you can see from the cross section, it's fairly sort of oval shaped, but you know, there's a lot of rolling around, and I need to sort of be securing this down to my workbench as best I can. So the flatter this is, the better that will work. Now, you can use your draw knife for this, you can use a plane, you can use your axe, you can use whatever you've got available. I'm going to use my axe, and what I may do is then move over to the draw knife just to finish off afterwards. But it really is as simple as sort of working out where you want your base to be. Now I'm thinking sort of this line down here, you know, we're far enough away from this little sort of branch or the leftover of that branch, and all I want to do is just start smoothing this down. Now, because it's fairly smooth anyway, I'm going to be using the axe, at least to begin with, as more of a plane, just to kind of pick up on the areas that are slightly more raised than the rest, and if I need to, I can cut in a bit more later on. So again, if I put my axe right to the top here, and as I come down, this area here is the first place it's getting caught on. So this is a high spot as opposed to the rest of this, and what you're doing is just working those high spots off. Now, I will need to come at it from both sides. But hopefully you can see here and here we are developing that sort of slightly darker flat spot, which is what I'm aiming for. That seems to be most of it that side, so if I just flip it over quickly, then we'll come back from the other way. Right then guys, so we have flattened this off, so it's now at least a little bit more stable. Still a little bit of a rock to it, but that's fine for what I'm intending on doing. And that's where I'm going to leave it for this episode. Next time round, I think what we'll do is we'll mark out our bowl on the top here, and we'll start removing some of that waste wood and start getting that bowl set in. So I hope it was useful, guys. As I said last video, you know, I kind of want to make these carving videos almost like a kind of step-by-step how-to. So I'm breaking them down into what I suspect some of you will find are fairly obvious parts. But I'm sort of doing this more so for someone that's maybe not carved before, or maybe someone that's not carved this kind of thing, and kind of wants that sort of step-by-step process. So I hope that everyone's happy with that, and that you'll bear with me if it's something you already know. So it's sort of starting to take shape, but at the end of the day it's still just a big lump of wood at the moment, and we'll definitely make some progress with that next episode. Comments and questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.